Homework Hotline, what is your emergency?
Hello, I'm Becca. I teach math at Emily Griffith High School. Welcome to a brand new season of Homework Hotline.
Hi, I'm Nathan. I also teach math at Emily Griffith High School. This is my first season at Homework Hotline, so to be honest, I'm a little nervous today, but I have all these seasoned pros around me, so hopefully it goes okay.
So we'll help you out if you get stuck. Do you need homework help? Well, that's why we're here. We'll help you work through the problem so that you can better understand how to get to the answer.
And we'll be here every Tuesday and Wednesday from 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. We'd love to talk to you and help you out with your homework, so give us a call at 720-424-1666. Calling your questions allows us to help you a little bit more individually.
You can watch our show in several ways. You can tune into Comcast Channel 22. You can go to livestream.com and search for EG Homework Hotline. Or you can watch us on YouTube by searching for DPS TV Homework Hotline.
And the Homework Hotline is sponsored by Emily Griffith High School.
In addition to the two of us, we also have a couple of Emily Griffith High School students. We'll start with Lily. Lily, tell us about yourself.
Hi guys, I'm Lily and I am in my last year of Emily Griffith. I'm here as your trivia queen today, and today I will ask you, the audience, a question. But before I hear the answer, I want to hear it from you guys. So today's question is a trivia question, and the first person to call in with the correct answer will win a prize. So today's trivia question is, where is the only place in the United States where a royal palace was used by monarchs?
Well, if you have an answer to the question, give us a call and definitely let us know if you got an answer. We do have prizes, I believe. We've got some prizes.
I think we do.
So Lily is going to give us the answer to that question at the end of the show. All right, well, we're going to check in with Antonio. So Antonio, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself before we start your job.
Well, hello everybody. I'm Antonio. I'm a senior at Emily Griffith. I'm also just like a generally extraordinary person, as you can tell from my magnificent hair. Here, I am the social media guy. I pick up all your questions, I give them to the teachers, they answer, I find another, and the cycle continues. The cycle of social media life. As a matter of fact, since I'd never like to dwell on myself, why don't we get started with that? Rebecca,
Sounds
you ready
good.
for one?
I'm ready.
Okay, this one asks, a donut shop has two different sizes, regular and mini. Regulars have a diameter of 12 centimeters and a 3 centimeter hole. Minis have a diameter of 6 centimeters and a 1.5 centimeter hole. All donuts are 3 centimeters thick. Regulars cost 70 cents and minis cost 30 cents. Which is a better deal and why?
Oh boy, this is actually, this is a pretty big question. So I'm trying to set up my my visuals as we speak. While I do that, Antonio, would you leave that up on social media just so that I can make sure that I can get all of that information written down?
Sure thing, boss.
I'll read one more time. It says the donut shop has two different sizes, regular and mini. So I'm starting to diagram this on my computer if you want to cut to it. I believe you're looking, yeah, there we go. There's my computer. Okay. So regulars have a diameter of, it says 12 centimeters. So 12 centimeters with a 3 centimeter hole. And I'm going to assume that the diameter is 3 centimeters. And then it says the minis have a diameter of 6 centimeters with a 1.5 centimeter hole. So again, I'm going to assume that's also the diameter that's given. And then it says all donuts are 3 centimeters thick. Now, so 3 centimeters thick. We're going to have to make a little bit of assumptions on that too. And then they also say regulars cost 70 cents, so we'll say this much, and minis cost 30 cents. So this is a pretty big problem. Then they asked us which which is a better deal and why. So one thing you might notice that I did whenever, or just now, I know you were being very patient and watching me kind of look like I was just writing down information, but this is kind of something that you should do when you're solving any kind of word problem. It's a tip anyways of how I do them is I'll write down any key information that I have in regards to the problem. I don't write all of the sentences that are there, but I'll write down the key information. And another thing that I did there that might also help you with word problems is I drew pictures of or diagrams of what I was actually going to be finding. So that might help me as well. So what I need to do in order to find out which is a better deal is I need to basically find out how much I'm paying for what I'm getting. So what I'll do first is I'm going to find how much donut I'm getting for each, the regular and the mini. So the regular, I know that my diameter, so altogether, diameter is a measurement from the center of the circle to the outside rim. The diameter is 12 centimeters. So what that means is the radius, sorry, and I said that wrong. Diameter is a measure the whole way across the circle, so whole way. And then radius is a measure of halfway across. We need the radius in order to find out what our area or volume is. So what we'll use is we'll use the volume of a cylinder. A cylinder is the shape of a pop can. Now a donut is not an exact cylinder, it's more like a tube, but the cylinder would actually be a really close estimation of what our volume of the donut is, how much dough we have. So to find the volume of a cylinder, we're going to take pi times the radius squared times the height of that cylinder. And what I need to do in order to find the whole volume of this is I'm going to find the volume of the cylinder, and then I'm going to take away the volume of what's in the middle, where the donut hole would be. So I need to find the volume of both of them. So starting with that, I'll do pi times my radius squared, so 6 centimeters squared, times my height. Well, my height, they said that my donuts were 3 centimeters thick, so that's my height. So I'm going to do that times 3. Then what I mentioned before is I need to subtract, so minus, the volume of where the hole would be, because there's a hole. We need to take it away and not include it. So we were told that our diameter of that is 3 centimeters, and so that means our radius is half of that, which is 1.5 centimeters. So I'm going to do pi times 1.5 squared times the height again, which is 3, because they said it was 3 centimeters thick. That's going to, when I simplify that, that is going to give me the volume of my regular donut. And I don't have a calculator here, so I don't want to do this in my head. I'm actually not going to do that. It's going to take me some time. So we're going to go back to the volume of that in just a second, as soon as I can get a calculator, just because I do not want to do that in my head. All right. So while I'm waiting for my calculator, I'm going to find also, write the formula for my volume of my mini donut. I'm not going to go as into it as I did with the regular donut, because it's the same process. So I'm going to say volume equals pi times the radius, and that's half of 6, so 3 squared, times the height, which is still 3, minus, so subtract, pi times my radius of the second one, which is half of 1.5, which is 0.75 centimeters, or 75 hundredths centimeters. And then we're also going to multiply that by 3. So now I'm going to go ahead and simplify my actual volume. This was a huge question. Whoever your teacher is was not very nice. No, I'm kidding. They were very nice because they gave you lots of math, actually. All right, times 3. And then minus the pi times 3. All right, so my volume of this, the regular donut, is going to be 318 centimeters about. We're going to go 318.1 centimeters. And then we know it's 70 cents. So to find the unit rate, we would do our 70 cents divided by our centimeters. And what that will tell us is how much it's going to cost per centimeter. So we'll do that divided by that. And that is actually going to cost us just a fraction of a cent. And I'm going to give us a lot. So that's not very much per centimeter of donut. We're going to do the same for the other, which when you simplify the volume, and I apologize for the delay, but a lot of math to do in the head. So times 3. And while I'm doing this, what I'm trying to calculate again is the volume of my donut so that I can find out what the unit rate is, how much it's costing me per centimeter cubed of donut that I'm actually eating. So 0.7. So for this one, I get a volume of 83 point about 1, and we know it's 30 cents. So we're going to take this divided by 30 cents. And that's, oh, sorry, I mixed those up. So I'm doing, for my unit rate, I'm doing 30 cents divided by 83.1. So my cents divided by my centimeters, so again, that I can find my unit rate. So 30 cents divided by 83. All right, which works out to, I'm kind of out of space here, works out to 0.0036. So what it looks like is you're paying over here, you're paying less money per centimeter than you are on the regular donut than you are on the mini donut. So again, huge beefy problem. I'm sorry that took so long to deal with some of those calculations, but the way that you would want to solve something like this is find out your unit rate. Unit rates help you compare things that are different sizes, and this really helps whenever you're calculating better deals when it comes to restaurant or when you're shopping. Finding the unit rate can help you compare things really easily. So there you have it.
And just a reminder, if you want to give us a call with your homework questions, you can reach us at 720-424-1666.
All right, it sounds like we have a phone call coming in, our first of the season. Awesome.
That's quick.
Yeah, all right. Hello, are you there?
Hey, it's me.
Hi, thank you for calling Homework Hotline. Do you have a homework question to ask us?
Yeah, I do. So I was wondering, how do you find the maximum of the quadratic x squared plus 8x minus 1?
Let's write that down. So x squared minus 8x minus 1.
Oh, plus 8x.
Oh, plus 8x. Okay, that'll make a difference. Okay. And we have to find the maximum. Did you want to do this one, Nate, or do you want?
That sounds like an Algebra 2 question, so
All
you can
right.
hop on that.
I will go for it then. All right, so if you're able to watch, then you can watch our answer right now, and we can interact if that's something you're able to do.
Yeah.
All right, so I've got our equation on here. This is a quadratic equation. Do you know what shape quadratic equations always make? Whenever you graph them?
Parabola?
You got it. So this is going to, and I'm just drawing a rough sketch of what it's going to look like, but it's going to look like this U shape, a parabola, like you said. And the maximum is going to be where the vertex is. And so because the maximum is where the vertex is, if we can find the vertex, then we can find the maximum. One way to do this is to take our equation and turn it to vertex form. And so what we'll do is, I use an area model to do this, but when I'm teaching my students. So I'll go ahead and draw that so you can see what I'm talking about. Use an area model, which the area model basically helps convert. We're going to stick the first term in the top left. We'll stick the middle term, and we're going to split it up. And what this means, I can go into why, but a little bit later in another episode, but what this means is we can take the 8x squared, the first term and the second term, and turn it into x plus 4 squared. And then we're going to, by completing the square, we had to add 16 to our equation. And so what that means to keep it balanced is we also have to subtract 16 and keep this minus 1 that's there. So then simplifying this, we have y equals x plus 4 squared minus 17. And you can find your vertex in your equation, actually. It comes from these two constants in our equation. And that means our vertex is going to be at -4, -17 in this particular problem. And so usually when they're asking about a max value, they're asking what the y value is. Basically how high up that this vertex goes. And so what we're looking at is this one here. So our y value is -17, so our maximum value is at y equals -17
Okay.
in this case. So that might be something that you're a little bit familiar with, something your teacher might have started to show you. So anything else specific on that you have questions on, of that work that you saw?
No, actually, I got all of it, so thank you.
Good, awesome. Well, thank you for calling. I appreciate your calls.
Thank you.
All right, have a good day.
All right, so looks like we're gonna head to a commercial for EGTC.
So this is where the throttle body would go. This is the intake. I actually started being interested into cars when I was around 15. I'm tightening it.
Ariana Gonzalez is working in a so-called man's world.
A lot of the boys mentioned that I looked really scared and intimidated like the first maybe 2 months.
But she didn't let that stop her from going after her dream.
My favorite part is actually taking apart the engine. That was my favorite class.
Ariana is taking the automotive service program here at Emily Griffith Technical College. Besides being interested in cars, she had another motivation for going in this direction.
To show other women that also it's not just a boys thing, that women are capable of doing whatever men can do. Here, there.
Ariana did face some obstacles, like from home.
No, my family wasn't all jumping for joy. They're all the Mexican traditional family. Women goes to do this. The men works in this. But still, they supported me through it. They didn't agree with it, but they supported me through it.
But after her dad had a leak in his radiator,
Oh, well, Dad, we had done this in class. Like, that was our first class that we took. And I was like, I can go ahead and take out the radiator.
Dad was about to take it to a mechanic, but instead,
So I did it myself, and I saved my parents money.
Ariana even has a job at Shop Automotive, where as a woman she is already making a difference. Listen to what happened when a mother and daughter came in for a minor repair.
Her little daughter in the back, not really screaming, but telling her mom, she's like, Mommy, you see, a girl's working on our car. And then her mom just comes over to me ecstatic, and she's like, oh, we're just teaching our daughter that whatever a man can do, girls can do. She's like, oh, you're a good example about that. Made me feel really proud. Thought you listened to it enough.
So what does Ariana think about Emily Griffith?
I think Emily Griffith is great. They gave me the opportunity to learn. They gave me a scholarship. They gave me an instructor that helps me. When I have any questions, he'll answer, or if that way I still don't understand, he'll go ahead and explain it. And then I also have peers that help me a lot, and they support me through what I do.
Ariana is proof that the automotive garage can be a woman's world too.
Hi, welcome back to Homework Hotline. I would like to let you know just also how to get a hold of us again, just in case you're just joining us. You can call us here at 720-424-1666. The other information was just up on your screen. If we could see that again on the screen, that's the other information on how to get a hold of us. You can get a hold of us through Twitter, Facebook, and also email, but the email addresses are not up. So we'll show them to you at another time. All right. Well, let's go back to social media and get some of our questions answered.
Over here, we have a great question I think many people can relate to. It asks, Wilbur wants to make a pond for his backyard bigger. It is currently a cone with a radius of 30 meters and a depth of 15 meters. He wants to increase the radius to 40 and the depth to 20. How much more water will the pond hold?
That's a great question. So that sounds like another volume question like Becca had answered before with the donuts. So really what we need to figure out here is how much the bigger pond is going to hold and how much the smaller pond already held, so we can calculate that difference. So if you come to my screen, I already threw the equation for the volume of a cone up. I threw it up here. It's a little bit nicer than I would have written it myself. Maybe I can make this a little bit bigger. So again, what we're looking for is the volume of the larger pond, and we want to basically subtract the volume of that smaller pond, and we can figure out from there how much more it holds. So if I could see again some of those numbers regarding the pond sizes, I can work through that. Antonio?
There it is.
All right, so again, this is the equation for the volume of a cone, which is related to the problem that you were asking. So what we're going to do first is kind of talk about some of the pieces. V is obviously for volume. R is going to be for the radius, which is a piece of information that was given to us. And H is for the height of the pond. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn this into two separate problems and then combine them in the end. I'm going to look at the volume, if I can write with this, the volume of the bigger pond. So I'll just call that BP. And then I'm going to also look at the volume of that smaller pond. And again, then we're going to look into the difference between those two. So if you think again about what this pond is looking like, it said it was a cone shape. Okay, so it looks something like this, kind of an odd shape for a pond, but it is what it is. So when we talk about the radius, we're talking about the distance from here to here. So in this volume formula, we have the radius r, and then we're also talking about this height right here. That's going to be our h. So again, all we do is we use the information given. So the bigger pond had a volume, or sorry, it had a radius of 30. So we'll call that r was 30. And it had a depth of 15. In this case, I told you the formula for a cone involved the height, but in this case, we're really kind of looking at this depth here. It's the same idea. So all we're going to do is plug this information in. So the volume of the bigger cone is going to be 1/3 pi, and we're plugging this in, r squared, so the radius squared, 30 squared, times the height, or in this case, we're talking about a pond, so the depth of that pond. We're going to do some simplifying here, so v equals 1/3 of pi times 900 times 15. And again, I'm probably going to need a calculator for this, so we'll come back to this in a second. Thank you. So when we're looking at the smaller pond, we'll do the same thing. So, oh, I did this backwards, actually. The smaller pond, sorry about that. This is actually the smaller pond I calculated right here. I got this information a little bit wrong. So we already calculated the volume, or we set up the volume for the smaller pond. This is going to be the bigger pond. There we go. So the bigger pond, the radius was 40, and it had a depth, or in this case, it's the height of 20. So same deal, we just set this up again. Same way we did the other one. 1/3 times pi times our radius, 40 squared, times 20. And I'll simplify this a little bit as well. 1/3 pi times 1600 times 20. And again, what we're looking for is the difference, how much more volume your pond is going to hold. So really what we're looking for is the volume of the bigger pond minus the volume of that smaller pond. So I'm just going to punch this in my calculator. I'm going to do the bigger pond first. It was 1/3 times pi times 1600 times 20, and I get a volume of 33,510.32. That's the volume of the bigger pond right here. So same thing, I'm going to calculate now the volume of the smaller pond, so 1/3 times pi times 900 times 15. Oh, I did something wrong in my calculator here. So let me do this again, 0.333 times pi times 900 times 15. And I get a volume of that smaller pond. Where's this thing? Of 14,135.75. So again, now what we were looking for, look back at the question. He wanted to increase his pond. How much more water is that pond going to hold? So I'm just going to do this subtraction, 33,510.32 minus 14,135.75. So this pond is going to hold 19,374.57 cubic meters of water more. So we could say meters cubed. All right, so again, when we're looking for the difference, we actually have to do 2 volume problems and then find the difference between the 2 of those.
A lot like the donut problem, actually.
A lot like that,
You know,
yeah.
a lot like the donut problem, comparing the volumes for sure. Well, we actually have a caller today, another caller. So if you're connected, can you hear us?
Hello?
Hi, thanks for calling Homework Hotline.
Yeah, of course. I have a question. It's really been bumming me out.
Okay, what's your question? Hopefully we can help you.
How do you find the area of a triangle with the base of 8 and a height of 4?
Okay, would you like to help us out with that one?
Yeah, I can take that
All
one.
right.
So you said it was a height, so a triangle.
How do you find the area of a triangle with the base of 8 and a height of 4?
The base of 8 and a height of 4. Okay, so again, this is one of those problems where you need to know the equation. So do you know the area of a triangle, the equation for that?
Is it a squared plus b squared equals c squared?
Ah, that's close. It is related to a triangle. That's the Pythagorean theorem. But what you need to know is the area of a triangle is 1/2 the base times the height. And the great thing about this is that really, if you ever forget the area of a triangle, but you remember something that everybody remembers a little bit more easily, if you think about the area of a rectangle, the area of a rectangle is right here. It's like, let's do this, the length times the width. And now if you think about what a triangle is, it's really just half of a rectangle. So in a sense, if I called this my base instead of my length and this my height instead of my width, you can kind of see if you ever forget what the area of a triangle is, but you remember the area of a rectangle, you can kind of think about that relationship and that will help you recall that.
Okay.
So in this case, you said we have a triangle. It's got a base of 8 and a height of 4. So all we're doing again is we're plugging this into the equation. We have the area equals 1/2 times the base times the height. And from here, we just simplify this. So area equals 1/2. 8 times 4 is 32. And the area of this triangle in particular would be 16.
Awesome.
So again, it's really helpful if you just kind of think about what you know. A lot of times you can derive other equations from that if you ever forget in the future.
Cool. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for calling.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to social media and see if we can get any of those questions that we've that we've stored up on the off season answered.
All right, we have a question that deals with price, which helps since everyone has to buy winter wear these days. It asks, a jacket costs $17 after a 15% discount. What is the jacket's original price?
Ah, okay.
I guess I can take that one again. I used
Sure.
to work in finance. I
Yeah, you
teach
do that
financial
one.
algebra now, so I think I should be able to figure this out. I think this is one of those questions that it seems a little tricky at first. If I could see the question again, make sure I have all the information. So a jacket, we're saying it costs $17.
Oh, that's my screen.
But that's after a 15% discount. And most students don't have a hard time calculating discount amount, but when you try to go the other way, a lot of times that can be a little tricky. So I want to actually first think about how would you calculate a discount amount? So what would you do to calculate a discount amount? You would really figure out the cost. You'd look at the cost of the jacket. You'd multiply that by the discount percent, and that would give you your discount savings. So again, this is one of those things where there's kind of an equation for it, but if you don't remember that, you can derive it because you remember how to calculate an amount of discount that you're getting. So in this case, though, we know a couple different pieces of information. We know the jacket is actually costing $17. We also know we have 15% savings. So what were we looking for? The amount, the original amount that it cost?
Original amount.
Okay, great. So actually, this isn't quite going to work because we don't know how much we saved, right?
You can use it.
Can I use
You can use it.
right here?
So we would, with our original, what if we know what our original is, we would take away our discount savings, right, to get
Right.
our new cost. So the discount savings that you had, if we go back to Nate's screen, the discount savings, if we can take away, so we're taking that away, discount savings,
Right.
from the original cost that we don't know yet
Uh-huh.
to find our new cost, $17.
Okay, so in this case, we have a discount amount. We don't know this cost, but we have a discount amount of 15%, right?
Yes.
So in this case, we can find that original cost by just dividing by this percentage of 15%. So this should give you the original cost. If I do 17 divided by 15%, you should get, just get the calculator.
Yep. Hang on one second. 17 divided by 15%.
And you should get $113.33. So the great thing about a problem with it like this too is you can always double check your answer to make sure, first of all, that it makes sense. The original cost should be higher than the discounted cost. But you can also just double check and say, okay, $113.33 times 0.15 or 15% should be $17. So that's a quick, easy way to just double check your answer and make sure that it makes sense.
All right. So we're going to actually check back in with Antonio for social media, get another question answered, and then one more question for right now.
All right, we have a really, really quick question. It's just asking, what is 1/16 plus 3/4 plus 5/12?
Okay, 1/16 plus 3/4 plus 5/12. Okay, I am going to, on my screen, I'm actually going to set it up as vertical addition because it's going to give us some space to work here. So, fractions, everyone's favorite numbers, I would have to say. I've worked in middle school and I've also worked at the high school level, and I will say it doesn't get any more lovely with those fractions. Doesn't matter the level, everybody just loves fractions. So one thing when we're adding fractions or subtracting fractions from each other, it's really important that we have the same denominator. For example, if I were to take something like this, 3 oranges plus 2 fruit, or sorry, 2 apples, getting ahead of myself here, 2 apples, if I were to take that and add those two together, I can't really add them together when we're calling them things that are different than each other. I can maybe find something in common with them and call them fruit, like this. And then 3 fruit plus 2 fruit, that's going to give me 5 fruit. So what I need to make sure, it's kind of the same with fractions. If I had something like 1/4 plus 2/3, I could not put these together until I made them the same or made them common. So what we'll do is we need to find common denominators. To find common denominators, or what we're going to make those denominators into so that we're allowed to add them together, is we're going to list the multiples of each denominator. And the reason we do that is because we want to find a common number between the three that we can actually make all of their denominators into. So in this case, multiples of 16, and multiples are just skip counting by that number. So 16, 32, that's 16 times 2. 16 times 3 is going to give us 48. With another 16, we have 64. And another 16, we get 80. Yeah. And then another 16, we get 96. And I'm going to stop there and go ahead and list some multiples of 4 and 12. Now, I'm going to just stop with 12 because I'm not going to do 4 for 2 reasons. One, it's going to take me a while to get up to 96. It's going to take me a long time to list those multiples, 4, 8, 12, 16, and so on. And then also, I know that 4 goes into both 12 and 16. So any multiple of 12 is also going to be a multiple of 4. Same with 16. Any multiple of 16 is also going to be a multiple of 4 because 16 is a multiple of 4 and so is 12. So I'm going to skip 4 because I know all of these are going to be common. So 12, we go 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72, 84, and then 96. 96 is our common one, so we're actually going to change both of our denominators into 96, or all three denominators into 96. And what we're asking ourselves in order to change our numerators is what we did to the denominator to change it to that. So we're basically asking 16 times what gave us 96? Because we have to do the same thing to the numerator when we do something to the denominator. So 16 times 6 is going to give us 96. So what we do to the denominator, we have to do to the numerator. So 1 times 6 gives us a new numerator of 696. We're going to do the same with the 4 and the same with the 12. The 12, I know, times, 8 times 8 is 96, and so that's going to be the same thing I do to my numerator. So 5 times 8 is going to give you 40. I'm going to do the same thing with my 4 and 96, and 4 times 24 is 96. Now, if you didn't know that off the top of your head, which I didn't either, what you can do is work backwards by dividing. So you'd take 96 divided by 4 and would give you that times 24. We've got to do the same to the denominator. So that's going to give us 72, or to the numerator. Now we can actually go ahead and add them up, just kind of like we were able to do with our oranges and apples. As soon as we made them common things, we can put them together. So together with 6 and 72, I have 78. And then plus the 40, I end up getting 118. So that is my new numerator, 118. My denominator is still 96. Kind of like, again, when I take 2 fruit plus 3 fruit, I get 5 fruit. Fruit stays the same. The only thing that's being added together is the number, or the numerator, really, if you're thinking about it that way. Now to simplify this, what we do, because this is an improper fraction, so we're going to take our numerator divided by our denominator, 118 divided by 96. And 96 goes into 118. I'm going to erase some of my multiples here. It goes into 118 one whole time. And we're left with a remainder of 22. So the remainder is our numerator, and denominator stays 96. Now we want to make sure that that fraction is simplified completely, so we want to divide it by the greatest number that goes into both of them, and I believe that that is 2. And so we end up getting 1 and 11, and then dividing that in half, 45, 48. So when we add all 3 of those fractions together, again, and this is why fractions are, people just love them so much, is that look at all of this work that we did just for one problem. We have to find a common denominator. We have to change our fractions into equivalent fractions with that common denominator. Then we have to add our numerators together and simplify. And the simplifying process is multiple steps as well. If it's improper, we have to do the division to turn it to a mixed number. If it needs simplified, we need to do that as well. So quite a process, but common denominators is the big idea. Create those common denominators, and then you can add and subtract any fraction together as long as they've got those common denominators.
All right, so at Homework Hotline, we're sponsored by Emily Griffith, so we're going to take another couple minutes and hear a word from Emily Griffith High School and Emily Griffith Technical College.
There's times when you wander and ponder all the labels you've received.
Believe me, I've got a few. Never mind from when, why, or how.
'Cause now, everything's different. I found the perfect place.
A space where the labels fade and I'm accepted and supported.
Check what the news reported. Emily Griffith helps all who wish to learn.
Turn towards your future while you finish the basics on your time.
Prime opportunity in this mature environment.
The only requirement is motivation and thirst for success.
Invest in your passions. There's no limit to how far you'll go.
And know that you'll have something in common with everyone here.
We all chose empowerment over standing still in fear.
What's there to be afraid of?
I've never done this before.
I had no idea what it was going to be like.
I didn't even know how to turn on a computer.
Success requires facing your fears. I empower my students from day one.
We jumped right in, shooting.
I was excited from the start.
You have a camera in your hand more than a book.
And that's how you will learn. From start to finish, I don't waste your time.
It begins easy, then it gets harder and harder and harder.
I didn't think I could keep up, but then I got good.
I realized I can do this. Confidence is the goal. I love it when they see their potential.
I see myself doing professional work.
This is something I really enjoy.
I can see a story in everyone. I'm not teaching video production. I'm creating storytellers.
Welcome to Nerd Necessities Network. You're probably thinking, what is Nerd Necessities Network? That's a good question. Nerd Necessities Network is a premier DPS TV show all about nerdy people, places, and things. Check us out on Facebook and YouTube and all the social networks. That's a wrap!
Welcome back. Emily Griffith has a lot to offer. We'll be showing you throughout the season some of the different programs and things that we have to offer, but there's a lot going on at Emily Griffith, so check it out if you have any interest whatsoever in technical arts, technical sciences. All right, we're gonna go check in with Antonio again at the social media boards for something a little bit different this time.
So this time, instead of your questions, we actually have something for you. This is a little Facebook thing that we post up. It's usually something fairly interesting. We'll be doing this all the time now that the show's started again. This one in particular focuses on whether or not radiation can give you superpowers. Now, I don't know about you, but every time I see a spider, I'm thinking, this has got to be the one. This has got to be it. Gonna finally become Spider-Man. But as we all know, that's not really how spider bites go. Usually it just goes like directly to the hospital. You get a big bump. And there's just no fun to be had. No faster than the spider can. sucks. Spiders suck in the real world. But anyway, I'm getting off track. So there's just a whole video that goes over like what radiation would really do, which is not give you superpowers. More stuff along the lines of either give you cancer or do absolutely nothing, which a lot of you might find surprising. But no, radiation is everywhere, really. Rarely does anything.
I mean, it really is actually everywhere. There was an article that I was reading, and it's actually, if you are traveling in the air, you're getting radiation. There is a decent amount of radiation in Grand Central Station in New York City. It really is everywhere.
Yeah, it's crazy. I know a lot of you might have been concerned about cooties at a recent age, but you actually get radiation from sleeping next to somebody. So if you're over the whole cooties issue, keep in mind you actually get 2 millirems a year of radiation just by sleeping next to somebody.
So the average, though, per year per person is 360 millirems per person. Just to give you an idea, we usually get about 360 millirems per person per year. So 2 millirems of those can come from sleeping next to someone. Is that what you said?
Yeah, you can get some from eating Brazil nuts or just living on Earth. Living on Earth alone, you get 200 millirems a year.
Those what are they called? Porcelain teeth? Those give off radiation right in your mouth even.
Little bit, but yeah.
I mean, the porcelain teeth, anyone who's not taking proper care of their teeth and has an issue with radiation, take good care of those teeth. You don't want them to be porcelain teeth. You don't want to get radiation right in your mouth. That's like the most invasive.
It's a very little bit of radiation.
It's in your mouth.
But you still get radiation for it.
Yeah,
and
that's
it is
not a
in your
great
mouth.
spot for it.
You're very, very right about that.
But just so you're not overly concerned after watching this show, you actually need about 450,000 millirems of radiation to be at risk.
Oh, but what is important to note is that when you smoke, it's 16,000 millirems you can get for smoking. So you're getting actually, in your teeth, if you get porcelain teeth or crowns, you're only getting tenths, so fractions of 1 millirem.
And you might get porcelain teeth because you smoke, so.
That's also true, so then it's just compounding. But with smoking, you get up to 16,000 millirems when you're smoking. So that's really actually a decent amount of radiation there. So compared to a lot of the other stuff, it's pretty high level there. Also, if you're air traveling, I mentioned that, it's just 1 millirem per 1,000 miles you go. So smoking's a lot.
Yeah, or depending on the type of house you live in, if you've ever driven by a brick house called a masonry home, you get about 7 millirems a year from that.
Oh, I hear we have a phone call.
Oh,
Let's take our phone call. Let's answer those questions. All right. Hello, are you there? Homework Hotline is here to help you.
Hi.
Hi. Do you have a homework question for us?
Yeah. How do you find the volume of a cube with sides that have a length of 3?
Would you like to take this
I guess
one?
I could take that one too.
I'm going to let you have it. It's geometry
right,
based.
that's
Yeah, it's a really hard one.
It is a really hard one, but hopefully we can make it easier for you.
You know, it is a hard one, but again, this comes down to just knowing the equation for the volume of a cube, which really, if you know, for example, the area of a square, this helps a little bit. So if you go ahead and go to my graphic, I have a cube up here. So you said it was a side length of 3?
Yeah.
So when we're talking about a cube, remember, with a cube, all the sides are going to be the same length. So I can go back here and say every single one of these sides is going to have a length of 3, right? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So really what we're doing is when we're looking at volume, we're trying to figure out, you know, the area of that main shape, but it extends because this has 3 dimensions. So do you know what the area of a square or a rectangle would be?
Oh, I don't know.
All right, well, an area of a square we talked about a little earlier. The area of a rectangle was the length times the width. Well, in this case, you know, the length and the width are going to be the same in a cube because like we talked about, a cube has all equal sides.
Yeah.
So really what you could say is it's the side times the side, right?
Okay.
So side times the side. Another way to say this is it's going to be side squared. So that's the area of a square, but if we're talking about the area of a cube, we have this kind of extra dimension over here, right here, right, where it goes a little deeper. But it's that same, it's going to be the same length there. So we need to add that extra dimension for the volume. So the volume of a cube is really going to be that side squared. It's going to be side times the side, but we also have this extra dimension. So I don't know what happened there. So we have side times the side again to add that third dimension there. In this case, we could also rewrite this as the side cubed, right? Because side times side times side would be side cubed. In this case, we're saying the sides are all 3. So the volume of the cube for this one is going to be 3 cubed, which again, if you don't know what that is off the top of your head, that's going to be 3 times 3 times 3, which 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. So depending on the measurements, if this were in, let's see, if this were like inches, this would be 27, and the proportions or the units are really important in these types of problems. So if I can see my pen, 27 inches cubed, again, because it has 3 dimensions. So hopefully that's helpful, but again, a lot of these problems are really, if you remember the formula, they're not too challenging, and if you can just think about what you know about a square, that will help you just add that third dimension in there.
Awesome. Thank you, Nate.
You're welcome. Thanks for calling.
Awesome. A lot of geometry questions.
A lot of geometry.
Not my favorite. I like the algebras. All right. I'd like to give you the trivia question one more time so that you have a chance to answer that. The trivia question, just reminding you, is where is the only place in the United States where a royal palace was used by monarchs? So in the United States. So if you've got an answer to that question, give us a call. Don't do social media. We won't get to help you out quick enough, so give us a call again, and that number is 720-424-1666. We have a few more minutes left on our show, and again, you can get a prize if you call in with a correct answer for that. So before we go, though, we'd like to answer at least one more question on social media. So let's go check in with Antonio again and get our last question of the day.
This one will make you happy. It's algebra.
Yay!
Done with geometry for the day. This asks, during a drought, a river's height decreases by 0.35 inch every day. What is the change in the river's height after 7 days?
Oh, okay. All right, well, if you cut to my screen, I can help you answer that. You might also notice that, so if you look at my screen, you will notice that I write down, as Antonio reads the questions, I jot down really quickly any information that I think might be important to help me solve this. So, because I don't like sifting through words. So we know that the river's height is decreasing by 0.35 inches per day, and we want to know how many it has been decreasing in 7 days, so per 1 day. So what we'll actually do is we're going to multiply these to find out how many it's done in 7 days. So we're just going to basically take 7 times the 0.35, and we end up getting 2.45 inches that it's decreasing in 7 days. I actually was thinking that this was maybe a conversion problem, maybe turning decimal stuff to inches or feet, but it's less than a foot, so it's just going to decrease by 2.45 inches in that total 7 days. So multiplication is your friend in this problem. Hopefully that helps you out and helps get your question answered. All right, what's next? All right, let's go trivia. So let's go trivia and let's get our answer. So back to Lily.
Okay, guys, so we're just going to cover the question one more time. And the question is, where is the only place in the United States where a royal palace was used by monarchs? And the answer is Honolulu, Hawaii.
Oh, Hawaii. Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. That does make sense.
I guess if I were royalty, I'd want to go to Hawaii myself. So.
Yeah, really. I'd like to be in a royal palace in Hawaii. I'd
Doesn't
like
sound
to
too
live
bad.
there. No, it sounds pretty all right for me. Well, I also looked up a couple other facts about Hawaii, since our trivia question is about Hawaii, and learned some interesting things. Did you learn anything about Hawaii?
I did, quite a few things actually.
What did you learn?
Well, first of all, the Hawaiian language only has 12 letters in the alphabet, so we have 26. They have quite a few less. I guess it's if you're sitting on the beach, you won't be bothered by all these extra 14 letters.
Letters,
you have to think about.
who needs them? Did you guys learn anything? Did you learn anything about Hawaii?
I learned something about Hawaii every day.
Every day? What
That's
was
impressive.
And what I learned the last day, sorry, was that Honolulu is actually the biggest city on Earth. And that's not just because it's a big city, interestingly. They actually have a law. It's a law in its constitution that makes it so that any island that isn't owned by a country is essentially a part of Honolulu. So that means that its borders are incredibly big. I think like 1,500 miles wide, if I remember correctly.
Oh, wow.
I really did not know that. Did not know that. That is very interesting. Hawaii is very interesting. It's very different than all the rest of the states.
It is.
It's also the most isolated population center on the face of the earth. So most people, but then it's the most isolated. It's actually 2,390 miles from California, and even further to Japan, and even further to China and the Philippines. So the closest major land area is over 2,000 miles away from Hawaii. So it's pretty populated for being that far away from everything else.
Well, that seems to make sense that they would have their own time zone, though. They're actually one of only 2 states in the United States that has its own time zone.
What's the other one?
Alaska, obviously.
Uh-huh.
The other big kind of outlier state there.
Yeah, not in the continental U.S. Yeah. There's also, the Hawaiian archipelago, I always struggle saying that word, has over 130 scattered points of land. Now, it's interesting that they call it scattered points of land. I'm wondering why they don't call it islands, possibly because of the definition of island, but that's a lot of pieces to Hawaii, so a lot of different spots. But yeah, Hawaii's pretty cool. Never been there, though.
Yeah, unfortunately, neither have I.
Have you guys been to Hawaii?
Been to Hawaii?
Let's take a homework hotline
haven't.
trip
Yeah,
to
maybe we should
Hawaii.
take a
I think
trip
that's
out
next on our list.
Yeah.
Well, there's educational value behind it. We'll figure it out. We'll
try and do it back to basics.
So, what did you learn, Lily?
Well, I'm a big coffee drinker, and so I found out that Hawaii is the only state that grows coffee. So I might visit Hawaii. So.
Sounds good. Yep. Next week, broadcasting live from Hawaii, Homework Hotline. Yeah, we'll see you, but Hawaii time zone that time.
Yeah, right. Yeah. We're going to lose a few hours heading out there.
Yeah, so you'll get to see us at, I'm not sure how far away it is and how many hours away is the time zone. Did you know that? How far?
It's actually about 4 hours earlier than it is here. So what is it, about 5:30 here? It's about 1:30 p.m. in Hawaii right now.
All right, so that means that they're going to have to catch our show. It'll start at 8:30 p.m.
Yeah, that's
when we go to Hawaii. No, we're really not going to Hawaii. I wish we were, but
that's unfortunate.
It is
We'll
unfortunate.
try.
It is. Well, we've had a fantastic first episode. Thank you so much for joining us for our season premiere of our 3rd season of Homework Hotline. This year we get to run all year long, so we can answer your questions all year round. We will be on the show for Tuesday and Wednesday, so 2 days you can get your questions answered this week. So we won't be back tomorrow. We'll see you next week.